What if you could build a business that gives you the life of freedom you deserve? What if you could find the secrets to marketing, leadership, customer service, and other aspects of business that help you exceed your goals? What if you could walk away from your business for 30 days and it never misses a beat? That's what this podcast is for, to help business leaders like you find freedom from the day-to-day grind and start spending your time doing the things you love. I'm Levi McClendon, and my co-host is Josh Taylor, and this is the Cheers to Freedom podcast.
And Don, I think this is the third or maybe even the fourth time that we've had a chance to have you on a webinar or a podcast. And I know you joined us for the Freedom Summit this past November. Those of you that attended the Freedom Summit, you guys hands down said that this was one of the highlights of the summit, was Don's session. Some of you called it out in the survey. So today we've got something really special to celebrate. It's the launch of Building a StoryBrand 2.0. If you're familiar with the original book, you already know how powerful the StoryBrand framework is. You guys have heard us talk about it for 3 years now to clarify your message, to connect with your customers. And this new version takes it to a whole new level. There's added chapters. There's tons of new examples. You talk, Don, in it, you talk a lot more about digital marketing and kind of the digital world as well. So Don, welcome back to our audience and to our customers here on our webinar.
It's always great to be back with you guys. Yeah. Happy New Year.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to jump in with this. You're launching this today, Building a StoryBrand 2.0. The first book came out in 2016. I remember that because it came out 1 month before I got certified. And I remember asking you, I actually got to sit next to you at dinner because my introverted self looked for the table that had nobody at it. And then you and Betsy were late to that dinner for whatever reason. So you ended up at the table that just basically had me and Al Andrews. And
Yeah.
so it was such a great table for me to sit at. But I remember asking you, hey, I'm about to get certified with StoryBrand. You're launching the book next month, and for $20, you're basically telling everybody the secrets to StoryBrand. What is that going to do to my business? And you said, I think it's going to make it go up. Yeah, because you said it exactly what was true is people are reading it and they're going to realize everything they're doing wrong in marketing, and they're going to need help to execute this. And so you have just launched 2.0. What inspired you to revisit this book, to launch a second version, an updated version? And what are you most excited about for this new version?
Well, I think probably like for most people on this call, if you run businesses, I'm just an absolute perfectionist, and I can't even have most of my books around. As I say that, I see some of them behind me, but they're in foreign languages, so I can have those around because I always, it's never done. The book is never done. It's, you publish it, but then you're like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. I should have said this and should have added this chapter. So 1 million copies in, the publisher gave me the opportunity to go back and say, hey, would you want to rewrite it and do a 1 millionth copy edition? Well, I had incorporated more villain language into, the reason that you need a villain in your brand story, and car washes need a villain in their brand story. We can get to that. And the idea of a controlling idea. And then, we'd had like Procter and Gamble and Ford Lincoln. We'd had a few high profile customers before the book Building a StoryBrand came out. But now it's like national security on China policy and the White House. There's a lot of fun stories of people who've used the framework to clarify an important message. So I got to put about 40 pages of more anecdotes and more stories in it. And, as a writer, when you get to do that sort of thing, you take advantage of it. I think that what people need most in terms of understanding the framework are examples. So for example, how would this work for a car wash? And so I learned that in the 7 years since the book came out, and I just backed up a truck and dump loaded a bunch of examples into the book that apparently has made it a lot better book.
So that's interesting. You talk about all the different types of organizations that you have walked through the StoryBrand framework with, including national security. And so people that say our business is different, this can't really work, you pretty much debunk that in the book because you give so many different types of examples.
Yeah, I mean, we're all the same in one sense. I mean, everybody's business is unique, and even two different car wash businesses are unique in some ways. But we're all the same in the sense that people have to read or hear words in order to do business with you. You think they don't, but they really do. And, a text message that they get, your website, the signage that they see when they pass by the car wash, it's words, words, words. And if you have a strategy of words, for instance, here's what our sign's going to say, here's what a text message is going to say, And even more importantly, here's what our team is going to say when somebody rolls down the window. And here's what we're going to say to somebody when we hand them a clean towel to dry off their car or whatever it is. It's words. Words build the whole world that you live in. Words build everything. Words, as a new dad, my daughter's 3.5. I think a lot about the words I use with my daughter because those words will become her self-esteem 20 years from now. And so I've spent my whole life studying words and studying stories. And so I think that it applies to everybody. So if you have to use the right words to build your business. And by the way, if you have a superior product, superior quality to your competitor, and they use better words than you, they'll steal all your business. Yeah. The words are actually more important than the product. Now, the product's got to be good. Otherwise, you'll kill your business. It'll be short-lived. But the words are more important in terms of you getting the competitive advantage.
That's a phrase that I've heard you say for years is, so we don't buy the best products. We buy the products we understand the fastest.
We can understand why we need that product. We're going to buy it. But until we understand, that's where I just reviewed a friend's keynote presentation. He's the CEO of a big oil and gas firm, and George W. Bush is in the audience. He said, "Hey, can you just watch this keynote I gave and tell me what you think?" And it was hard to take notes on it because it was like you just talked the whole time about yourself. You didn't talk about the customers. You didn't talk about the stakeholders. Nobody was interested. They want to know, like, what do you have to do with me? And so, I think the words we use, matter an awful lot. And if you figure out the other thing about like words being competitive advantage is it's so freaking easy. It's so much easier to use the right words than it is to use the wrong words in this sense. You want to come up with sound bites and you want to repeat those sound bites over and over until you are blue in the face. If everybody on your team said, "We love how beautiful your car looks after it gets washed." I just made that up right now. But we love how beautiful your car looks after it gets washed. If you said to every one of your team members, "Hey, you got to say that to every person who comes through this parking lot, this property," everybody's got to hear it at least once for 6 months. I guarantee you business will go up. And there's reasons. One, you just reminded them that they have a beautiful car. They didn't come there to get their car washed. They came there I get my car washed every 3 or 4 days. So I get my car washed every 3 or 4 days. I never go to a car wash to wash my car. I go to the car wash because I want my car to feel like it did when I drove off the lot, right? And I want people to say it's a beautiful car. So if you say to me, "Hey, that's a beautiful car. Love how that car looks when it's clean, man," you are affirming the reason I just spent money.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't spend money on a car wash. I spent money to be driving around a car that people admired. And if you tell me you admire my car, I just got my money back right there.
Yeah.
And so, it's little things like that you want to figure out in your business strategy. And listen, it's a competitive market, right? I mean, car washes are competitive. And you got to do something to differentiate. And sometimes it can be as easy as a messaging strategy boiled down into sound bites that are repeated over and over. And all of a sudden people think there's something different about that car wash. I don't know what it is. Well, that car wash made you feel good is what's the difference.
And to me, that is everybody will say the big idea or the big, secret or even maybe even the controlling idea, which I'll ask you about in just a minute, of the StoryBrand framework is making your customer the hero of the story. And while that is true, I think what it really does is it forces us to highlight the real problem that we are solving for our customers.
Yeah.
So for a car wash, it's not about where their car's dirty, they need to get it clean. Yes, that's the external problem, but that's not really why they're going there.
No, there's always an emotional reason behind the real reason. Listen, it just feels good to drive around in a clean car. I mean, if it doesn't feel good for you to drive around in a clean car, you're not the target market.
Right.
So go ahead, Josh.
So you've got an entire chapter that's added to this on the controlling idea. This idea of the controlling idea is something that I probably heard you talk about it more in the last few years than I did really since you launched the book. Give us the idea, what is the controlling idea and why did you decide to add an entire chapter into this new book about it?
I think it's almost as important as the brand script itself, which is what the whole book is about. A controlling idea comes from the screenplay world, people who write movies. And basically, before they'll sit down and do all that work on the movie, they'll come up with their controlling idea. So the controlling idea would be something like, a dog named Benji gets separated from its family and has to find its way home. Okay. Now, if that's my controlling idea, which I'll just play with for a second, then I can't have the owner competing like in a bowling tournament, right? I mean, I've just said what the movie is about. And so everything needs to submit to the controlling idea if I'm trying to write that movie. Now, the reason that you want a controlling idea in a movie is if you have a movie that's about 3 or 4 things, you'll lose the audience. It's got to be about one thing. So if ever I give a speech, I determine the controlling idea of that speech before I even start writing it. And the same can be true of your marketing and messaging campaign. So if you were to say, the controlling idea of our car wash is we make you feel great about your car, or we make your car feel brand new again, that's tongue in cheek because obviously you're not putting a new transmission in it. But everything then needs to support that, right? Our tunnel is going to make your car feel brand new again. Our vacuum cleaners are going to make your car feel brand new again. And then when people leave, they got something. And what they got was, my car feels brand new again. But you communicate that through little signs, through things that your employees say, through text messages. And sooner or later, the controlling idea comes across. The reason you want a controlling idea in your messaging is it focuses your messaging. All marketing and messaging is an exercise in memorization. That's what it is. It's an exercise in memorization. And if you can get the public to memorize your offer and you run a campaign to get them to memorize your offer, we will make your car feel like it's brand new again. You've run an effective campaign. Most people sort of throw tons of spaghetti at the wall or have kind of a shotgun approach. The controlling idea allows you to shoot a rifle, and it makes it, the controlling idea of the Trump campaign was, make America great again. Controlling idea of Kamala Harris's campaign is, I don't know. I mean, I have no idea. I really don't. I'm not a big fan of either the Republican or Democratic Party, but I have no idea what she was trying to communicate. Now, she was out there until she was hoarse trying to communicate it, but she said it in 50 different ways in 50 different places, and that's not a rifle, right? So you want to clarify your message into sound bites, those being supportive of a controlling idea, and then repeat those sound bites over and over and over and over.
I love that idea. And this is something that we've talked to our customers about, even with their texting campaigns or with their website, of, marketing being that exercise in memorization. You've got to repeat yourself over and over and over again, because you're not the only message that your customers are hearing all day long.
Yeah.
And you're not competing with other car washes. You're competing with every other message and every other experience they have wherever they go, whether it's dropping their kids off at school or getting out of the Walmart parking lot, wherever it is. You're competing with those things as well.
You are.
You got to get through that.
You've got to differentiate, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, if you bought 5,000 little cheap rubber duckies, and you had somebody on the lot when they had some time, every kid who comes through every one of these cars is going to get a little rubber ducky. And you're going to say, thanks for giving your car a bath today. Looks great. To every family that you hand one of those to, your business is going to go up because they have a positive association with your business. You cared about their kids. You have a little memento in the car sitting on the dashboard for the next month, reminding you of that. And you told them what they got. Your car got a bath. And if you even say this, looks like your car really wanted a bath today. It's got to be feeling pretty good about itself now. By the way, here's a ducky for the kids. Geez, I mean, think about those words. You have your customer sitting right there, and they never roll down their freaking window? What a waste.
Yeah.
You have a guy out there with a box of rubber duckies, and everybody's going to be rolling down their window, and you're going to be able to get your messaging across and make them feel good about their visit. What if your controlling idea was the car wash should be fun? Give them a ducky and say, you know what? We just believe a car wash should be fun. Hope you guys are having a great day. Now they just associated dopamine, which is an addictive chemical, with fun with your car wash.
Yeah.
You just got them a little bit addicted to your car wash, and also had a great time doing it. Just little things like that you can actually use words to change your whole freaking world and to differentiate from. And you know how much words cost?
Nothing.
Duckies cost a little more than words.
Well, I mean, and that's such and I hope you guys that are listening are writing some of these things down. Zach Davis, who is our strategic marketing director for OpSpot, he also owns a wash in Texas. And earlier this week, they had the first freeze come through in Lubbock, Texas. And what are they doing? They're handing out things to go over the pipes to keep them from freezing to the first 200 customers that show up that day. What do they use? They use their text message. And what they did is they reminded people, we're not about a transaction with you guys. We're about building a relationship.
Oh, we care.
Yeah, we care. They had so many people. I mean, they were posting about it. They had people posting about it that showed up because you're cutting through the noise and you're differentiating yourself. Even in a small town like Lubbock, Texas, that has multiple car wash brands in it, they've just separated themselves from everyone else. Because
no question there. If you're one of those 200 people who got that, that pipe warmer, you'll never forget that.
At our summit, one of the things that I felt was really, I want you to kind of talk through again, is the importance of the negative stakes, because I think that that's something that people, when I push it with our customers, it's I think natural for most people to kind of be wary of, I don't want to talk about the negative stakes. I don't want to be negative in my messaging, but why in the StoryBrand framework, you've got to talk about what's at stake, both good and bad. What do you get? What do you stand to lose? Why is it so important to talk about those negative stakes?
Well, people are magnetically drawn to positivity, and they are propelled away from negativity. And so when you have positive and negative stakes in a story, you have motivation for the hero. So, he's got to disarm the bomb in order to, save these kids' lives. Well, if he disarms the bomb, he and the kids get to live. If he doesn't, he and the kids are all going to die. There's a negative thing that happens and a positive thing that happens that are both motivating him. So if you say, everybody feels good if they're in a clean car. Well, now what you just put in stakes. The stakes of the story, if I'm in a dirty car, I don't feel good. If I'm in a clean car, I do feel good. You just put negative and positive stakes in the story with just a few words. Everybody feels good in a clean car. Yep. Now, you put that sign out in front of your car wash, everybody feels good in a clean car. And the 6 out of 10 people who don't feel good that day, because nobody does, because they didn't get a good night's sleep and they haven't had their coffee yet or whatever. Now you just position your car wash as something that's going to make them feel good. And you know what happens when you go through a car wash? You feel good. You do. I mean, it's always a great experience, always. And so, I think that's the importance of getting stakes right in your messaging.
You added a lot into the new version of the book, just with talking about digital marketing and there's a whole new world of digital, even since 2017. It's a completely different world, even from 6 years ago, whenever it was, 7 years ago. How do you feel the StoryBrand framework helps cut through the noise in a digital marketing world now, where everything is just pretty much digital? You don't see a lot of print. Car washes are still using a lot of print. At best, they're probably breaking even on it. It's very much a digital world. How do you see the StoryBrand framework helping businesses stand out more in that digital world?
Well, it doesn't matter if it's digital or if it's in print. It's all words. So you're text messaging people words. You might be emailing people words. You've got to have words that are succinct, that make sense. It's an offer that makes sense. I would never send out like a free car wash coupon on a text message without some words there. When your car is clean, you feel better about yourself. Here's your first wash for free. Don't just say, here's your first wash for free. You got an opportunity there to say something really interesting and intriguing. And so you've got to come up with those words. With StoryBrand 2.0, we released StoryBrand.ai. It soft launched to a wait list today. But if you go to StoryBrand.ai right now, you can, all these taglines I've been slinging out. I wrote 110 pages of single-space back-end instructions for StoryBrand.ai. And it'll give you a tagline for free. You can just go answer some questions. It'll also give you 7 different talking points for free. And then there's a paid version that has all sorts of other stuff that you can use too. But StoryBrand.ai will write some of those words for you. It'll give you sales talking points so that you can actually type in, you just answer 5 or 6 questions, and it'll give you talking points that you can use when you're talking to customers that differentiate you from the competition. Fantastic tool.
It really is a fantastic tool. I got the chance to test drive it a couple of weeks ago. And just the user interface, the simplicity of it, what it's bringing to the table is it's so different than any of the other tools out there. And we're big fans of AI. We don't feel like it's something that we need to shy away from. It's something that we definitely need to embrace and leverage because it's a fantastic tool if you learn how to leverage it. And basically you and your team have taken the hard part of teaching ChatGPT, and you guys have basically dumped your brain into an AI thing to really
Yeah,
help our back
the
pocket.
power of it is twofold. It's 120 pages of single space text from me, and we educated it on my books. And then I spent probably the better part of 6 weeks saying, that's not right. You should do it this way. Josh, we flew you in to Nashville, sat in the conference room to play with it for a day. That was super, super helpful. But then the real magic of it is you don't look at a blank box. You actually answer questions. What makes your car wash so different? How do customers tend to feel after that? Things that you wouldn't have thought of. And then it spits out your talking points, your website, landing page, wireframe, all that kind of stuff. It's a fantastic tool.
Yeah, I highly recommend those of you click on that link, join the wait list for that, because you want
We
to
can play with it. Actually soft launch today, so you can play with the total. We haven't announced it, but if you go to StoryBrand.ai, it's all available right now.
Oh,
And I'll write a tagline for you for free. There's no charge to it.
yeah. So yeah, I'd highly recommend you guys jump in and do that, because AI is it's changing the way we do everything. Obviously, it is saving us tons of time with being able to write great copy, but you got to know what you're doing. And when you can jump into
The
StoryBrand.ai,
other thing that's
knows what you're doing.
fun about it, the thing that's so fun about it, with the brand script tool, is you're answering about 6 questions, and then it literally spits out a story of, here's what your customer's dealing with, here's their challenge, here's how they feel about it, here's your 3-step plan to solve that problem. But all of that are talking points that as soon as you read those things, you'll find yourself repeating them at the next cocktail party.
Yeah.
And so it's putting the right words in your mouth to say, and then that tends to find itself in text messages and emails and signage and all that sorts of stuff.
Well, it literally spits out your sales funnel for you, and you can go through and you can create lead generators. A lot of you guys are asking us about blogs. What kind of blog should we do on the website? StoryBrand.ai will help you build
Right.
those and write those for you.
I'll also write a narrative script for YouTube videos.
Oh, nice.
It'll do one of the fun things that it does is, people want to tell the story of their car wash, how they bought a car wash and they didn't know what they were doing, and or they inherited it from their father or whatever. There's a asset inside of StoryBrand.ai where you answer 6 or 7 questions, and it prints out the story of your business for you, but it won't let you play the hero. It will position the customer as the hero of the story, not you. And it's, that's a big mistake that a lot of people make.
Well, yeah, and the only feedback I had for Don is they need to put a thing where it will create your text messages for you.
That's one of the assets that we're working on.
Because obviously that we'll be doing that. So a couple other things, and we've got a couple of announcements that include Don, one of them that we got permission to announce to you guys very first. But a couple of things I want to talk about. The other thing that I'm really excited that you guys just launched is StoryBrand Theater. And I got an opportunity. I downloaded the Audible yesterday because I just realized it was on Audible. But I got to hear you had people come in and do it live on stage, where I literally just sat there and closed my eyes like I was listening to a radio and listen to you guys do this. But it is one of my favorite books is The 1 Minute Manager. And I think it's because of the way the book is written as a narrative rather than just a nonfiction, I don't know what they're called, book about how to do this, how to be a 1 minute manager. It's really a story about how you apply the principles. And that's what you did with this theater. Tell me the idea behind that and why you decided to take this strategy to teach the StoryBrand framework. Because I'm going to put a link of it for people to download too, because it's not only just a lot of fun, it was so practical in understanding how to apply the StoryBrand framework in so many different ways to your business.
A lot of folks on this call will get the book, they'll listen to the Audible book, and then they'll have trouble communicating it to their team. Right? A bunch of teenagers, a bunch of 20-somethings who don't care. Well, I wanted to create something that would be really fun and really entertaining, and most importantly, really short, that a leader could tell their team, hey, listen to this audio drama. It's a Tommy Boy style story about 2 very, very different brothers, a poet and an athlete, who inherited their mother's company because she passed away. And they have to save it from the brink of bankruptcy, and they use the StoryBrand framework to do it. So, you laugh a lot through it. It's a bunch of not A-list actors, but people who've done a lot of voice acting before. The screenwriter is a guy who has a film at the Toronto Film Festival right now, or at this last Toronto Film Festival. So it's extremely well done. I mean, I paid $15,000 just for the piano accompaniment to it. So it was not cheap. But now there's a 1 hour listen, and if you listen to it at 1.5 speed, it's even faster. And by the end of it, you actually know the framework. And so if you know that your team is not going to do a deep dive into this or try to understand it, then you can just assign this Audible drama, which everybody gets, pretty much for free because they have credits, and they'll understand it by the end. And probably the most fun I've ever had trying to teach was writing this screenplay and fixing it and hiring actors and all that kind of stuff. We're really proud of how it turned out. We're super proud of how it turned out.
Yeah. I mean, it's outstanding. It's if you want a simple, fun way to understand the StoryBrand framework, listen to this. It is worth the listen. I didn't honestly, when you first threw the idea out there, I was skeptical. I was like, I don't know how is that going to work. But then I remember I listened to the 1 Minute Manager on audio, and I listened to
Who Moved My Cheese and all.
Yeah, all of that. Dan Miller's Capture the Heart or Chestnut Checkers, all of that stuff. And I remember those are the books that I remember the most because of the way that they're told. And so I highly recommend you guys I think it's like $4 on Audible if you don't have credits, but it's highly worth it to do that for sure. As an author, as obviously the creator of the StoryBrand framework, you launched it back in 2017. How has the way that you understand storytelling and marketing, has it evolved in the last 7 years? And if so, how has it evolved?
Well, it's really evolved in the controlling idea, the villain. There's been a few new ideas that I call them new ideas. They're ancient. People have been studying stories since the days of Plato, but I've just been able to apply them to marketing. The number one thing that has evolved, though, is now I think it's the most important thing. That the words you use and the story you invite people into is the most important thing. And if you can get that right, you can win. I've been on a Winston Churchill deep dive lately, and I'm listening to his World War II narrative that he wrote. And also he's got like 5 million words worth of speeches that have been recorded. I mean, it's just insane, the catalog of words this guy used. And you're realizing that because Winston Churchill was able to articulate a clear message and repeat talking points over and over, and also paint extremely clear positive and negative stakes, because he was bold enough to clarify his message and tell the truth. So that and Pearl Harbor were what got Franklin Roosevelt to join the war effort, and Joseph Stalin without Pearl Harbor to join the war effort. And that's how he won the war. Now, who knows how long it would have taken Europe to unravel from a conquest of Hitler. It was done with a message. He did not have money. He didn't have weapons. He had nothing. He had nothing left. And he used words to win a war. To me, I just, and the stakes with our families, with our own identity, the words that you are using about yourself, you get a lot of peripheral stuff when you dive into StoryBrand. So, I'm more convinced than ever that the entire world that you live in is built with words, and it's a crappy world or it's a beautiful world based on the words that come out of your mouth.
So you guys throw some questions up there, Mark. I see your question, and so I want to jump to that in just a second. I have really one more question that I would love to ask you, Don. I know that car washing is like a Saturday tradition for you and your daughter to do. So you've been to the car washes, you've experienced those, you've had good experiences, probably some bad experiences. You and I keep thinking about this. A few weeks ago when I was up in Nashville, we went to a restaurant, and I remember you having a conversation with one of the waiters that came by, because it was cold that night. Like it was really cold, and there was they didn't have a parking lot, so they only did valet parking. And so you had your ticket, and you pulled one of the servers aside and said, "Hey, do I give you this, and they can pull the car up, or do I need to go out there and do it?" And the guy just said, "No, you need to go out there and hand it to him," which means we get to go out there, hand it to him, wait in the cold while he goes and gets the car and pull it back up. And I was thinking, man, what an opportunity for that server to say, "Let me take that out for you so you don't have to wait in the cold while he gets your car pulled up for you." And so I'm wondering, what experiences like that have you had when you've gone to the car wash where you thought, man, if they would just do it this way, or maybe they did it a certain way and that hooked you, it got you. Like one of the things that you've said is if you sign up for a membership, you don't have to pull your credit card out, next time you come. Are there some things that you've experienced at your car wash similar to that, where it was maybe a missed opportunity that car washes could use to really make the customer the hero in their car washing experience?
Yeah, I mean, there's just one big one. I like the car wash that I go to. I think I pay $40 a month or something like that. And like I said, I tend to go at least once, if not twice a week. It's been cold here lately, so I haven't been going by. The one thing that like Reed Hawk, I meet with Reed Hawk twice a month, who has a bunch of car washes here in Nashville. Been extremely successful.
You guys don't know, that's Camel Express. I think Tyler might be on this.
Yeah, he'll wash like 2 million cars this year, 1.5, between 1.5 and 2 million cars. I don't have a membership at Camel because there's not one near me. But the thing that Camel does, from what I understand, that other car washes don't do, and the one that I go to does not do, is there's a sense that the person who's cleaning my bumper, front and rear bumper, and cleaning the windshield before I go into the tunnel, there's just a sense they don't want to be there. And if I own that car wash, I would say that's a non-negotiable. I can never, ever sense that you don't want to be here. And so, of all the people, I'm really going to be careful about who looks in the eye of the customer and says, this way. That's going to be not just anybody. And, to me, that's the vibe that I'm getting. And then after that, I would want to go into, the words. They never, they don't say anything to me. They don't talk to me, which is fine. I don't need them to. I mean, I know what I'm doing there. I go get the clean towels and I clean up my car and that sort of thing. But, if somebody were to come up with me and says, man, car feels good when it gets a bath, doesn't it? Like one little tagline that differentiates from that place. Now, you have to be careful, because if you do that for a whole year and somebody hears it the 12th time, it gets annoying, right? But you have a chance to talk to your customers and use sound bites that differentiate you from everybody else. And that you want to think in terms of dopamine. Every single morning, I pick up my daughter out of her crib, say, you look so beautiful today, and it is going to be a beautiful day, and Daddy loves you. Those are three things. You are beautiful, it's going to be a beautiful day, and Daddy loves you. That is specifically to get some dopamine going and some happy emotions going through her right off the bat. And with the words that we use, we get to create little dopamine releases in people's heads. And I'm not trying to be manipulative. I'm just saying you've got an opportunity to be really positive and create positive associations with your brand. And I think we're missing those. And certainly somebody smoking a cigarette who doesn't want to be there is a negative association with brand. Because now I just paid $25 to put this guy who probably paid minimum wage, giving him a bad day. I don't feel very good about myself for doing that. So that's just little things, really common sense stuff.
Is that where you would tell people? Most of the folks that are on here are owners, or they're general managers of the entire brands. Some of them have multiple locations. There's a lot of employees that they're working with. And Ryan asked this question, and Ryan, you hit this question. I think you've hit this question every time that we've had Don on, and he always gives you a little bit more nuggets for you to apply. And so you apply it and then you come back with more, which is awesome. And I can't wait for you, Ryan, for you to meet Don here in a few months. But how are there any other tips or pointers for how to get more buy-in and participation from these employees?
Okay, so this is going to sound condescending, and I don't mean it to be, because your employees are very intelligent and they're wonderful people, and I know you love them. They do not own a car wash. You own a car wash. They do not care about a car wash. You care about a car wash. If it was their car wash, by the way, they would care about it. So you have to sort of train them in very, very simple terms, not unlike you would train a crowd at a football game, right? I mean, I remember once when I was, my wife is 42 or 43, and she has a 12-year-old baby sister, because they adopted when they were, when their youngest kids were 21, they adopted an infant. Can you believe that? So Gloria is now like, our baby sister, and she's always at our house. She spent 2 years with us. And her father almost disowned me when I taught her how to chant Seahawks. So I would say C and she would say Hawks. They're all Saints fans.
I don't blame him. I'm with him.
He told me,
I grounded my son when he said he was a Falcons fan.
all right. So the way I did that is she's 3 years old. And I said, Gloria, when I say C, you say Hawks. Of course, she had no idea what she was doing. I was just, buttering her up for when dad came home. And anyway, so it's things like, hey, when I say thank you, you say, that's a beautiful car, or glad your car got a bath today. Now they are being paid to respond that way.
Yeah.
And so whenever you say thank you, they said, now what's going to happen is when a customer says thank you, now they're going to be trained to do it. Now, if they cared about their that car wash, or if it was their car wash, they would do it voluntarily, but they are not going to do it voluntarily. Because why should they?
Right.
That's no criticism on them. It's not their car wash. They get paid whether they say it or not. So you have got to actually say, hey guys, when somebody says thank you, you're going to say, it's a beautiful day get a car wash, or it's a beautiful day to drive around in a clean car, or a clean car makes you feel good. No problem, man. A clean car makes you feel good. That's a good one, by the way.
That is.
So you train them to do that. Now, David Salyers is a friend. He's at Chick-fil-A. When you say thank you to somebody at Chick-fil-A, they say,
My pleasure.
My pleasure. He said that it took 3 years for the team to start saying my pleasure. 3 freaking years to get the team converted. Now that's, a $20 billion brand with tens of thousands of employees. You've got 27 employees or 42 of them. So, but I would start small like that. I would start by saying, hey, if anybody says thank you, you're going to say, no problem. Feels great to drive around in a clean car, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's it. And you say, well, I don't understand, Don, why it feels great to drive around in a clean car. Why would you say that? Because it does 2 things. It tells them how to feel. And when you tell people how to feel, they tend to feel it. So now you've got dopamine, a little bit of dopamine. And also you told them they got a clean car. So they're going to realize they're on autopilot, man. They're just going through a car wash driving away. They're going to realize their car is clean, and it's going to make them realize the value that they got. The other thing is you're saying, if you ask 10 people on the street, hey, do you like feeling good? Well, first of all, I think you're trying to sell them drugs, but most of them are going to say yes, because who doesn't like feeling good? You just told them that they feel good, and they're going to associate feeling good with your brand. So these are very powerful words.
Yeah. All right. So there's the book, Building a Story Brand. You can buy that on Amazon right now. Don, I know that you are busy today. Literally it launched today, StoryBrand.ai and StoryBrand 2.0.
And Pete just saved their mother's company. They all launched today.
Yeah. You know how to just pack it all in into one day, but congratulations to you. Thank you so much for just the generosity that you give to OpSpot and this industry, and just the time that you spend with us. We're so grateful for you to be a part of it. You always add so much value to everything that we're doing here.
Well, my pleasure. Grateful to know you guys.
All right.